famous people, celebrities, amazing business people, billionaires, social media influencers, amazing people. Have you ever been impressed by somebody? And have you ever met somebody that you didn't think was particularly impressive at all? They didn't seem very smart, they didn't dress very nice, they didn't speak very well, and you weren't impressed by them. Another great question. Have you ever been disappointed by somebody who you thought was famous or a celebrity or amazing? And have you ever been surprised by somebody who you thought was not very successful or not very smart or hasn't done very much in their life, and it turns out that they have? So why do we judge people? And that's my very personal question. Do we judge people on our first impression? Do we judge people on what other people told us about that person? Do we judge people on what social media has told us or what the media says about them? How do we know what somebody's really like? And have you ever been guilty of, I certainly have, of believing something about somebody to be true because somebody else told me or that's what I heard in the media, and that's not who they are and that's not how they live their life, and it's in fact completely untrue. The funniest is if you've ever been to America and you go through the checkout at the supermarket, there's all these interesting magazines with all these really weird and bizarre stories about famous celebrities and sports stars and billionaires. And when you read the story, even your own common sense will tell you that that can't possibly be true. And it's really interesting that you can write in a magazine a story about somebody that's completely untrue, not even one tiny bit of it is true, but you can still sell the magazine. Now, I would like to think that that's illegal, it's slander, you can't say terrible things about people. But now we live in the world of social media where it seems it's perfectly okay, and of course it isn't. Saying nasty, horrible things about somebody that isn't true is not a good thing, is it? So whatever we read, wherever we read it, wherever we watch it, wherever we see it, whatever we hear, could it be a really good idea to experience it for yourself rather than believe somebody else's opinion? And how would you know what somebody's really like? And I have this is my personal test for that. My way that I judge character of anybody is the way that there's two things: the way they treat people who can't do anything for them, and who they are when they're under pressure. So those two things for me are really important. If somebody's famous, celebrity, sports star, billionaire, and I've met a few of those, I watch how they treat the cleaning person, the checkout person at the supermarket, the bellboy at the hotel, the general public who can't do anything for them. I love elite athletes, sports stars, movie stars who spend a lot of time signing autographs, getting photos taken, investing time in their fans, because obviously they understand that they wouldn't have the celebrity that they've got without their fans. But I've also seen celebrities and sports stars who treat their fans like they're a piece of dog poo on the ground. In fact, worse than that, because they're completely indifferent to them. And I find that, for me, that's a judge of character. Who are you when people can't do anything for you, can't give you any money, can't give you any fame, can't make your life better? How do you treat people? And then who are you when you're tired, when you're sick, when your clothes don't fit because you put on weight, when you're hungry, when you're cold, when you're hot? It's really interesting to watch people react or respond to those situations. And have you noticed that there's a lot of people, well, this has certainly happened in my life because I'm an old lady, you thought somebody was really nice, you thought they were really kind, you thought they were respectful, and then the tiniest thing will happen. They'll be hungry, they haven't eaten for a couple of hours, and they lose the plot. They kick their dog, they yell at their kids, they throw things, they kick things, they act like a very out of control person over something that technically they have no control over. So if somebody complains about the weather, or they complain about the way somebody treats them, or they get upset and angry when they haven't had enough sleep or they haven't had enough food, first of all, the food and the sleep you do have control over. So if you get grumpy and angry and miserable and yell and scream when you're tired or you're hungry, well, that's something that you didn't have to get grumpy, because you could have got some sleep and you could have eaten some food. There's an interesting thing to take note of. But, and again, this is not about judgment. This is just about how do we, because we all judge people. That's just human nature. We all make an assumption on first impression by the way somebody looks, or the way they speak, or the way they stand, or the car that they drive, or the house that they live in, or the job that they have. We judge people by all of those things. But has that done us any favours? And I'll ask again, have you ever made a mistake where you thought somebody was really nice and they haven't been, or you thought somebody wasn't a very nice person, they've turned out to be gorgeous, delightful and amazing? And I don't want to be judgmental in any way, shape or form, but human nature says that we do. So I've become very consciously aware of how does this famous person, this non-famous person, how do they treat somebody that can't do anything for them? And how are they when they're under pressure, when they're sick, when they're tired, when they're stressed, when they haven't eaten, when their clothes don't fit? And you, of course, don't need to use my tools for judgment. I'm just asking, because we live in a world now where people are nasty and they criticise and they're very judgmental and everyone's got an opinion about somebody else. First of all, could that opinion be wrong? So before you listen to somebody else's opinion about somebody else, why not meet the person? That's a really interesting side note. I find, for me, very interesting, because somebody will come to me and say, I don't like such politician, or I don't like such sports star, or I don't like that musician, or I don't like that person, or I don't like that. And I always ask, have you met them? Here's another great question. Have you met their children? There's a really interesting thing. When I meet somebody's children and they're respectful and kind and they have respect for other things and other people and their environment, somebody taught them that, which says something about their parents or the influence that they had in their life. So rather than be judgmental by first impression or by what other people say, could it be a really lovely thing to do, a kind thing to do? And I'll rephrase the question. Do you want somebody to judge you by somebody else's opinion? Do you want somebody to judge you by what social media says about you, or what the Google review said about your business, or what the TripAdvisor said about you, or what people who don't like you say about you? There's another really fun one. You don't go to an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend and ask them what they think about the person that you want to date. You'll probably get a biased opinion. So why not make up your own mind by actions rather than other people's opinions? Could that be a really great way to have a healthy, happy headspace? Somebody that's living rent-free in your head, you think they're a terrible person, but you've never met them before, and you're angry because they've done a certain thing, but you've never met them before, and you don't actually know that they did that thing because you didn't see them do it. Somebody else just told you that they did it. Could it be a really good idea to work it out for ourselves? Go see, go meet, go experience, go do before we judge. Could that be a good idea so that you could live your life to the max?